What's going on, people? We are back. Episode number 16. Conscious Approach Podcast. Dave De Niro, JV Wins. We are back with you again. We thought we would talk about the NFL draft. The NFL draft was last week, and it produced some very funny moments, but also some revealing moments, in my opinion, based on what I saw. So the one situation that stood out to me was the situation with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was a wide receiver for, I believe, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma, okay. Drafted number 17 by the Dallas Cowboys. During the, broadcast, because everybody was at home because of the quarantine during the draft, there's a moment where his girl is sitting next to him, and she attempts to obtain his phone, and he has very quick hands, so he should make it as a great receiver because he snatched it right back. and that was hilarious to me because, number one, this girl is his girlfriend, so it kind of went both ways to me. Why is she snatching the phone, but at the same time, why is he in such a quick rush to snatch it right back? Outside the obvious being that it's an invasion of privacy. I don't care who you are. You just don't take my phone. Right. I afford you that same respect, so don't take my phone. You don't have a right to do that. But I thought it was interesting because I did some background research on who this woman is, right?
Oh, she got background?
Well, relatively. We living in a Instagram, social media. There's background on everybody.
Okay,
But there's a reason why there's background.
I thought
on
that was
her.
like high school sweetheart or something like that.
No, it's not like that. So there's a reason why there's background on her. So apparently she's the ex-girlfriend of Trey Young. So
Go figure. Okay.
So she's the ex-girlfriend of Trey Young, which tells me that she is, not to sound too judgmental, but she's one of those sharks out here in the world who leverages her physical appearance to gain the attention of professional athletes. Now, that's not a judgment against her. To me, that's a judgment against CeeDee. Because I'm looking into the future, and I'm hoping that CeeDee Lamb doesn't become another one of these pro athletes that gets caught up in the world of being in the company of these attention-seeking women who profiteer off of the thirst machine in America. And next thing you know, you find yourself in a domestic situation that you can't get out of, namely getting one of these women pregnant. I just don't want to see him go down that road. But unfortunately, we see a lot of these pro athletes go down that road. And in a lot of instances, it has derailed careers. And I just thought that it was a seminal moment finding out who she used to be with on top of that situation, because that was a dysfunctional act. To me, that was a dysfunctional action to try and take the dude's phone. Why are you doing that? And then for him to try to take it back, there's something there to me that just doesn't add up. And like I said, my concern is that he doesn't become another one in the long line of these professional NBA and NFL players, because that's who this mostly applies to, where we see a lot of these situations take place, who just has his career not necessarily derailed, but adversely affected because of the women that he chooses to keep company with. And that is a fact. We've seen it happen in the past. Careers have been adversely affected because these guys have poor judgment when it comes to the women that they choose to be around. Just as a message from me to him and others like him, I know he's not watching this video. Who am I? But man, you need to be smart and have good judgment when it comes to the women that you keep company with, because that, outside of a catastrophic injury, is a fast track to having your career derailed, or at the very least adversely affected. Just talk to Devin Booker. Just don't be a simp, man, and stop thinking with the wrong head. But we've talked about this before, man, and I firmly believe that you know, an Instagram model is an NBA player or an NFL player's kryptonite.
True.
And there's nothing that can make the situation go south for these guys more than one of these women who you are allured with because of their social media presence, but in actuality, they offer nothing tangibly positive to your life outside of dysfunction and a pretty face.
True.
So,
I mean, I think it's just deeper than that, though. Like, you know, the coach, I think, to me, looking outside in, the NBA is sort of like, if you're fortunate enough to go from high school to college to NBA, once you get to the NBA is like high school, just all rich kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like a culture, though. And I think, you know, coming from NBA college, like, I think it's more of that pressure filled to deal with those type of women, because that's like what comes with being an NBA player. That's what comes with the life. And I think that's just you know, like a lot of them people, like you said, a lot of the guys who go to the NBA, once you get to that realm of income or that realm of status, that's like the ultimate, like, I ain't never been here before. So, you know, I can't go get such and such from maybe Dairy Queen or maybe just the average girl on the street, because, you know, I'm amongst my peers and I see that, oh, such got a bad girlfriend, or I think somehow it's embedded in the culture, and these players don't know, and somehow that's how strong that culture is, that you just fall victim to it just because, I mean, you're in the NBA. Yeah. And I think it comes with, like, you know, it's hard when you go to the events and stuff, you're not seeing the average. All you're going to see is people who can hold up to the status in which you live.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, I think that's just I guess it's the gift and the curse, because I don't ever really want to talk on nobody's money. Like, right. I'm all for it, like, make the dollars, but I think it's just, you get the money, but there's not principles, there's not morals being preached when these kids get signed. You know, it's just, we here to play football now. Your moral characteristics and that's making smart decisions and all that stuff, we already know that's not something that too many people concerned with.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder whether, like, I have a chicken or the egg issue with this. Like, is it your status as a professional athlete or, you know, an NBA? Because what I find most interesting is that this whole phenomenon that we're talking about with, you know, pro athletes and these dysfunctional situations with these types of women who sort of leverage. I'm not trying to sound overly judgmental, but I feel like it is what it is. Like, you know, like you have like a lot of these outlets, like, you know, Instagram and Snapchat and these types of things have created a lane for women to be able to leverage their physical appearance for fame and a following, and in a lot of instances, income. Now, don't get me wrong, like, they're very physically attractive. So baseline for a guy, we're naturally going to gravitate towards that no matter what. Mm-hmm. But I find it interesting that we see this most prevalent in predominantly Black professional sports. Like, it's, to me, you don't see a whole lot of baseball players, where if you kind of dig into it and do the research with a lot of these guys who end up with some of these women that are popular on social media and whatnot, like, you don't see it as prevalent in non-Black pro sports. So you don't see it as often in baseball. You don't see it as often in, let's say, hockey. But you see it all over the place in specifically the NBA, mostly, and then to a lesser degree, but still prominently in the NFL too. And, you know, why? Like, is it a situation where, you know, like, being rich, to me, shouldn't make you devoid of good judgment. So, like, what I'm saying, like, a rich white guy on Wall Street who himself has the pick of the litter when it comes to upper echelon, very attractive women, probably not going to find himself in the same type of company that a high-profile NBA player will. What is the distinction there between the type of woman that, it's not about the money, it's not about the income? Like, why is there a distinction between the company that white Wall Street, you know, hedge fund guy keeps and, you know, pro NBA or NFL player?
Because a lot of the NBA players, like you say, it's deep and it comes. A lot of NBA players come, or a lot of players. Well, I won't say as much as the NFL and NBA because I think the NBA has a little bit more so of like Klay Thompson's dad plays. So I think you have more of the dad kind of plays. So not coming from as impoverished neighborhoods is like out of the NFL because I think the NFL, it's a lot more wider range, and I think it's just a little difference between the players, you know what I mean?
You think the players in the
Yeah,
in the
in the
NBA?
NBA,
You think there are more players who come from stable backgrounds in the NBA?
yeah, like in the NBA, you rarely hear about domestic violence charges. You rarely hear about, you know what I mean? Like as far as the NFL, the list goes on. There's never been a Greg Hardy in the NBA. There hasn't been a Ray Rice in the NBA. There hasn't been, all like
That's interesting.
It hasn't been none of those in the NBA.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in the NFL, that's amongst the culture, but I think that can tie to if you go deep with that physical contact and all that. What's that? The head disease that they say
CTE.
CTE. Like maybe because NFL is a physical sport, and you have to be taught to be. I'm trying to hurt you, so you know what I'm saying. Like you're more aggression. As far as NBA, you don't play the NBA with aggression. The NBA is more finesse kind of thing. It's not the same.
But what does that have to do with?
But I'm gonna say in this is say that I think that for the most part, a lot of these athletes coming from the same place, especially if you're African American, and a lot of these players come from bad. So if I grew up in bad, or if I see it, what my environment might be bad, if that's what I'm used to seeing, the second I cross over to the NBA, this is better than what I seen. You know what I mean? Even though that girl you might have a girl who might be, let's say, I don't know, not suburbs, but whatever you want to call it, hood, who might just look as good. But you already have an experience with that, and because I think you have a mental preconception of like, I can't trust, your environment. So then you go over here, you think that this is something better, and I think that's why players getting caught up, because then you realize it's not about. It's like you said, it's not about that, bro. It's about the person themselves. I don't care where they come from. It's about that person. So, but that's just the life, and then you gotta understand too, bro. These athletes now like 19. These, bro. They're coming up as an athlete now, young, with social media. You become a star before you actually even did anything. You know what I mean? You don't have to get on the field no more. You can be attractive looking and be the number 50th top receiving or top NBA player recruit in the country, and you can be damn near famous on TikTok, Instagram. So before you even produced on the field, you famous. So what that's gonna do to your head already? So these kids coming out already superstars mentality, and I think that's just the gift and the curse of social media. And I think that's what they see. It's like, I watch coming up, watching the NFL players, and on your journey to that road, you thinking, oh man, I got to get me a fine NBA chick, because that's what you're using. You get there, and I think it's just the allure, man. And I think that allure is deeper than most people know, because half of us never experienced it. And unless you get in there, you probably won't know. But I think there's an allure that most people, when it comes to that league, that it's hard to overcome.
I don't disagree with you. I just think that a lot of the characterizations that you made aren't distinguished from one sport to the next. Like, I just think that there is something about specifically the pro basketball or pro football player specifically that lends itself to a lot of these situations where there is just this perfect storm of the Instagram model type woman who, what the type of company that she keeps ideally, the type of company that she keeps in terms of men ideally, it seems to be specifically NBA player, NFL player, or hip hop star. That seems to be the lane, and I'm not casting aspersions on one side over the other. I think that there is some type of dynamic taking place there that makes it a perfect storm.
But I think it's just because they're so closely intertwined. You got Damian Lillard at the All-Star game rapping, and then you got rappers who you want to be athletes, and I think that's where I say it ties into they all come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that it ties in. I know that interests interconnect, but in relation to the women that they choose to deal with and vice versa, that's the interesting part about this. Yeah. It's just the dysfunctional nature of it is interesting to me. And like I said before, it's...
So don't you say how, like, when we talk about music and artists, how a lot of them probably speak or rap on dysfunctional situations?
Sure.
So I just looked the other day on Instagram. I saw LeBron James rapping. He was rapping old T.I. song off of, I can't remember. I love bars, 56 bars. One of the T.I.'s hardest verses ever. One of the best albums. I love that album. So I think a lot of these guys, like you said, they listen to, they accept dysfunction. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't want to, because, you know, I love music, so I'm not trying to blame them on music, but a lot of these guys, they live what the rappers actually talking about. If we out here as civilians listen to these rappers and relate, how am I supposed to relate when I know I got 50 racks and Future just said I got 50 racks pulled up in the Maybach with a couple bags? He's living that. So he's in the center of that dysfunction. And that's a hand on hand as opposed to me and you sitting here listening, popping some ENJ talking about I got 50 racks. I'm imagining these NBA players can really relate. So if you're listening to somebody like that and you can relate, it'll put you right there.
Okay, so then on the other side of it, why is it that the women specifically, because I think that there are sharks specifically for NBA, NFL players. NBA, NFL players are not the only high-profile professional athletes in the world, but they seem to specifically be the only high-profile professional athletes that they are looking for. And I think that it's that sort of targeted type of narrow selection set. There's only but so many of these guys in the world juxtaposed to the overall population. So a lot of these women have basically, they're fighting for the same group of dudes. And those guys, you know, in terms of general population, are pretty slim pickings. So there's only but so many of them to go around.
And a lot of times they're not picking and choosing. It's rotation.
I know. Okay, so well, that's what I'm getting at. And so I think that the rotational part of it that you just referenced has a lot to do with why it creates why it creates such a dysfunctional environment. And so I understand all of the ancillary reasons that you brought up. I'm inclined to agree with most of them. But I feel as though it is important for guys like CeeDee Lamb to know that those aren't the only types of women that you can choose from.
Yeah, well.
But the thing is, it's not about, I'm not trying to tell you who to date, who not to date, who to do whatever with. I don't care. That's not my business. But what I am saying is, it's very important for you, especially when you have reached the point in which your life has changed overnight after draft night. Your life has changed instantly. You're an instant millionaire.
Absolutely.
You're an instant millionaire. So it's incumbent upon you to at least attempt to exhibit good judgment. Is all I'm saying.
I get you.
And situations like what we saw on draft night with CeeDee Lamb and and his girl who apparently already has skin in the game because she's the ex-girlfriend of an NBA player.
Yeah.
That right there, that's already a hash mark against you in terms of good judgment.
Yeah.
And so will he learn from that situation? Probably not. He'll probably continue to do whatever he wants. And, God be with him. That's your choice. But me sitting here in this position, I'm just saying we need to stem the tide of this because it reverberates throughout society on deeper levels and on a wider scale.
But that's like you said, I get that, but I think it just ties into how you always said, these guys are football players, and I don't want to diminish nobody's ability or, intellect, because I don't know for sure, but a lot of these guys are no more than just football players. Like, when you see them and like that, most time, you're a stud. I remember being in high school, and like, the kids who didn't make it, I remember the varsity dudes who we thought were good, man, they ride around on golf carts, running from the coaches. When you're good like that, when you're a CeeDee Lamb, like, you kind of know you're going. So, like, I'm not really focused on nothing but football. And I think that's just how, I think that speaks more so to the culture that they're experiencing on their journey to the NFL as opposed to them getting. And that's to the problem. Then these coaches, these players, and these people who are coming across these kids before they get there need to impart some of these things, because a lot of these kids, we need more of the coaches. You spend time telling him to make the good decisions, but a lot of coaches don't care about nothing but one thing: you got to produce.
Yeah, to win.
And so I think the filter system between high school into the next level, I think that's where the problems lie because there's not enough people trying to tell CeeDee Lamb to make these decisions before he got there.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm telling him to make these decisions when he's there.
But I'm just saying, but if you haven't, how you can't make, you only increase your
He's
habit.
19, 20 years old, man.
That's hard to make. Make good decisions at 19, 20 when I was at 20.
I don't care. Like, but the thing is, okay, you can say that now, but when he makes the catastrophic mistake that alters his life in the long run, then he's gonna learn. But it's too late after that.
Hey, somebody should have told him before.
I just think that this is something that interests me. It's always interested me because I think it reverberates throughout the rest of society, specifically when it comes to like us as Black people being in these sort of social dysfunctional contexts, or within these social dysfunctional contexts. Like, you know, and I'm not trying to say that this is going to happen to CeeDee Lamb. I'm not saying that, but how many instances have we seen of? Listen, I'm not going to speak on camera about any of this, but I do my research off the camera. I know what these guys are doing. I know how they move.
Yeah.
Personally, I know a couple of them, how they move, and I know what they've done. And a lot of them are out here wilding. And by all means, go ahead and wild, but trust and believe, man. What did Steven Jackson say? You watched that video I sent you with Steven Jackson talking about, man, don't get the wrong girl pregnant. Like, you sitting there wilding. These women don't really care about you. The only thing they care about is the lifestyle that you can afford them. They don't offer anything tangible to your life in any positive way.
I understand that.
I know, but what I'm saying is, you know that going in, be more responsible. Be more responsible, because when you continue to hedge your bets, you're going to end up a thrice baby daddy over.
Well, you know, that's why they say it comes with it, man. 19, 20, hope he learns.
That's fine. It might come with it, but there is not enough. I can't spend enough time sitting in here in this seat saying these dudes need to make better judgment calls.
Well, they just need somebody to teach them to make better judgment calls, I think we put too much pressure on
CeeDee Lamb. If you need somebody to teach you to make better judgment calls, look, JD Wins on IG, consciousapproach.com.
Bro, okay, remember when Dez Bryant got drafted to the Cowboys? Remember all the stuff he had? Bro, Jerry Jones had to hire security for this guy, and they had to spend 24 hours to ensure that he would not do anything to compromise the team. And now, why is that? Why do I have to hire security for a grown man who I'm paying millions of dollars because the man fighting his mom in the mall, doing all kind of stuff? And so I think the responsibility lies on the individual, but I think the responsibility only lies on the individual until he's taught or told a possible option to do better. But if he doesn't come across that, it's on him. But I feel like he don't know how to make better decisions because nobody even been telling him to make better decisions. Or maybe, mentor this guy. A lot of these guys, they mentoring all this stuff. These coaches and stuff, it's all about production. Just look at Aaron Hernandez. Like, if you ever go listen to the podcast, the interesting thing I took out of that whole situation was how it was pretty known that this man was killing people, or he was suspected to be a killer, but he was so talented that every person that came across him was willing to overlook that until he got all the way to the NFL. You talking about a guy who was killing people, but bro, he was killing people. I was thinking he was kill somebody on Monday and be at practice Tuesday. That is the most craziest thing.
Well, situations like Aaron Hernandez, that's an extreme departure from what I'm talking about. I get what you're saying, but you can't. If someone's a murderer, you can't sit them down and teach them how to not be a murderer. Like that is an extreme. Like you're just a murderer. This guy needs to not be a part of society.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying teach you not to be a murderer. But if I'm the coach and they suspect that somebody tell you might kill somebody, I need to get into it.
I'm not arguing. Okay, I feel like we're doing an apples and oranges thing here. I'm not arguing. I'm not debating. It's not an argument, obviously. I'm not debating with you the fact that they, from their journey in Pop Warner and Pee Wee all the way into the professionals, that they live an existence in which everyone is just trying to get what they can out of them via the use of their talents. I understand that. And so, yes, coaches are less concerned with, imparting life lessons upon them, and it's just more so about win and produce on the field. And a lot of them come from dysfunctional domestic situations where they don't have two parents. They don't even have one parent to teach them right from wrong, let alone two. So I get that they're being set up for failure from the jump. But I guess I'm answering my question. A lot of that has to do with why they choose. I guess the thing with me is, I don't think that is something. Well, yeah, it's majority black leagues, and black people are just most affected by these issues. But I'm just saying, to these guys, CeeDee Lamb and the rest of these guys who get drafted, man, if you're on draft night snatching your phone out of your girl's hand, what's going to happen 5 years from now?
What happened that night? What happened 3 hours after the camera was
Yeah,
off?
like this is not a minor thing. Like I know that we sat there laughing. Like when I saw it, I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious, but at the same time, I was like,
I guess nothing surprised me anymore. And some things I expect, and I know this is kind of off top, but it's a funny story today. I saw today in the news on Facebook, an article came said Eminem confronts a burglar in his house. So apparently this burglar throws a rock through his window and climbs through his window, and Eminem gets out his sleeves and confronts him and holds him there till the police come. And I was just like, some stories just never cease to amaze me. And I just some things I just don't know no more, man. I just don't really get riled up because it's like, what's new? CeeDee Lamb, girl snatching the phone, Eminem stopping burglars in the middle of the night. That's where we live in. I'm just like, that's the crazy thing. So,
Man, look, man, I just think, it kind of, some of this stuff, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but just some of this stuff, I laugh at first, but then when I think about it more, it just kind of, I find it to be frustrating and unfortunate because you're not seeing any of the white players doing it. Like, any of the white players that got drafted on draft night in the first round, none of them were snatching phones out of their girl hand. No. You ain't have the mama ripping the girl from the man's arms. Like, you don't see, you only see these types of things play out with us. And I know part of it is a numbers issue because we're dealing with professional sports that are 70% black. So just logically speaking, you're more than likely going to see this stuff carry out. You're more than likely going to see this stuff carry out with, black people, specifically within this context, black athletes. But I think it speaks towards the greater issue of the fact that we have seemingly embraced dysfunctional behavior and dysfunctional domestic situations as sort of a natural part of our way of life. And that's what I don't like.
And that's just the truth.
Yeah, well, we need to stop that.
That's the truth. And I'm with you. I'm with you. Positive vibes only. I don't care if you're black, white, I don't care what it is.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make it about race. I was just trying to explain, but the reason why the optics are such that you're going to...
I think we know that. We always talk about it. Black culture is dysfunctional. And it's partly because of, you could say, systematic.
Yeah.
But half of it is because, I was learning today, it's mostly system, it's structure. We are dysfunctional because we have no structure. We have no real structure amongst our community, no culture. There's no structure, and we continue to be dysfunctional because a lot of us come from dysfunctional families. Right. And then you get into the NBA.
If it's even a family at all.
The NBA is structured in one way. It's structured in a business. It's not structured in building character.
Well, yeah, no, that's your job. Like, I don't go like that. The NBA, NFL, that's your job. I don't go to work expecting for them to help me through my personal trials and tribulations. I go to work and the expectation is do your job.
But the thing is, it would be different. I would think it would be different if I know you're 19 and I'm saying, hey, I signed this 19-year-old to $30 million. No. Then damn right I might need to tell you, hey, I need to talk to you, not just do your job. I need to make sure you're around to do your job.
Well, yeah, supposedly a lot of these programs do have guys who are a part of the organization to sort of help with that type of stuff.
Seminars and all that stuff.
But I mean, yeah, I agree. I think by that time, the impact that your upbringing has upon you has been set in stone in such a way that it's going to be hard to break a lot of these habits.
It's hard to break.
I agree with that, but it's work. Like, no, when you make it to the big leagues, you get to the NFL and the NBA, it's work. And so I think that the NBA and the NFL and the rest of these, like, for these pro athletes, that environment of your job as a professional athlete is merely it's merely like an exacerbator for all of your personal hangups, issues, anything else that you might have going on. Those environments merely act as an exacerbator to all of those things. So if you have a propensity for domestic violence, if you have a propensity for womanizing, if you have a propensity for any type of bad judgment, when you reach that point, all of those things are just going to be exponentially increase based on the fact that you now have a greater wherewithal to indulge in a lot of that because you're making more money and no one really can tell you what to do.
And that's what I was just about to say. I was about to say it's an ego thing too. It's the fact that if you wasn't an NBA player, she wouldn't even be trying to take your phone. You'll be with Aisha just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or you'll be with Susan from around the corner who going to school working at Dunkin' Donuts. But because
Susan.
she said, because you with the athlete, now it's at your hands. Like the greedy, like, you know, it's like you know how you eat something, but if your fridge full and you eat early, you just eating because it's there.
Because it's there, yeah.
And
that's absolutely correct.
Just because they're there, you can get it. When you could have been fine with somebody else, but the fact that you're there, you're like, oh, I gotta have that because I'm such and such. So, you know, I think they know, like, I think people know this, NBA owners know that, and like I said, I don't blame the NBA owners saying that. I think they know that, but at the end of the day, they say it falls on that person. But that lifestyle is dangerous, man, and we've seen it, so it keeps happening because it's that dangerous. It's just hard to manage 19-year-olds with millions of dollars.
Man, these IG models and these chicks are sharks, man, and they smart.
Oh, the game has changed now. They know. Messed up the game. The game has changed. Well, I swear
they just know what they can get, and they get it. They get it all the time. And my thing is, man, stop giving it to them. Stop doing it.
It's easy, but
stop giving it to them.
Come on, man. Some people we feel like that, but you got to do right now who can call and boom, he gonna cash out.
You can't put me in the NFL. I'll be podcasting every day.
Yeah, you won't make it long, huh?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys, you know, it's all about the cash out now. You see these girls on their Instagrams and stuff like that. I see they add the cash out. Now, a guy who ain't never, a person who ain't never met them, gonna probably cash out them. They can do that 5 times. So that's a game changer right there.
Yeah, shout out to Roddy Rich.
Yeah, you know.
With the cash out.
Cash out. Cash out.
Well, look, man. Look, CeeDee Lamb, man. Just, you know, you got a bright future ahead of you, man. By all accounts, it looks like you're going to have a very promising career as an NFL player. Please just try to exhibit good judgment, especially when it comes to the women that you keep company with, because they will derail you. And I'm not trying to be I love women. I don't dislike women. I love women. But I'm just speaking on the truth. It's the reality of the situation. And outside, like I said, outside of a catastrophic injury, I just, you know, or you do some, or, you know, some random, not random, but something like Aaron Hernandez or an injury or something of that nature, you break the law, do something stupid. Outside of something like that, the quickest way to have your career derailed is getting with the wrong women and even worse, procreating with them. You know, and I'm just, you know, that was a seminal moment during the draft where I felt like you can sort of use that situation to project that may be a part of CeeDee Lamb's future. And that would be unfortunate.
Well, that would be unfortunate.
And he has the wherewithal. He can stop it before it becomes a problem now.
Yeah. And it might not, though. You know,
it might not. That's absolutely correct. It might not. But
I do think about, like Eric Thomas say, sometimes your talent take you places your character just can't keep you.
That's a great point. That's a great quote.
You know, so that's just the reality of it. And it's like, you know, I can't, at the women, hey, can't be mad. The game changed. I ain't mad at the women for doing their thing.
No.
I can't hate nobody. I want to see everybody prospering, whichever way they are. So, but if you're a guy and you get got, then I guess that's why they say the word simp these days. So if you're a simp, then that's just you, you know what I mean? But we choose to be what we want to be. And I can't hate the game, you know what I'm saying? You can't hate the player, you can't hate the game, just how it goes. So I think everybody needs to smarten up, but hey, if you get got, you just got got.
Yeah, I mean, just don't be, just think for yourself, man. Exhibit good judgment and don't be a simp, man. Yeah. Don't be one of these guys who is
It's hard to think
slave.
for themselves, though, with the social media. People don't think for themselves these days. Too much competing, too much what you see.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? TikTok and all this stuff, you see all these beautiful women, and I mean, just like and you know how they kind of probably filter how they can show, but you see so many pretty women, and it's just like it's hard, man. It's hard to think for yourself when you surrounding the world that's moving so fast. Which is why I am happy that I'm not happy, but I guess one of the positive things that comes out of this quarantine is that we all slowed down right now. So it's a chance for you to take advantage of yourself and get self-awareness. And I think that's what, we need. CeeDee Lamb needs some self-awareness. And if, we all need to focus on self-awareness. And if we can find some self-awareness, we'll be all right.
Yeah. I'm not going to hate the players, but I don't like the game. I'll be the first to admit, because it only affects the men. And I'm just seeing a lot of men in high-profile situations getting taken down. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But if I have to place the blame on anyone, I have to place the blame on them, because you just have to exhibit good judgment when it comes to everything. But a big part of that is the women that you keep, man, because it's not a good road. And for him, you already got somebody with, like I said, skin in the game. She already been with an NBA player. At that point, that's who she is, bro. So everything else that happens after that is on you.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. CeeDee Lamb, good judgment. You're going to be a great player. You got a great career ahead of you, but just be smarter.
That's it, man. Fins up, Dolphins, fins up. That's all I know. I don't know about no stars. Right. Fins up.
But on that note, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Be sure to follow us on all the appropriate channels. ConsciousApproach.com. You can find me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. pvoapparel.store is where you can support the PVO brand on the website, as well as on Instagram at pvo.apparel.
Quick pointer, this shirt right here is to raise awareness to gun violence. Rest in peace to my boy Ian Curtis. Icy, you know what I mean? It's available on the site, but the proceeds do go to a good cause, his goddaughter's trust fund. So, we appreciate you supporting. If you happen to go on the website and see this shirt, just know this, everything now is part of a good cause. But this specific shirt is to raise awareness against gun violence. Put the guns down. Let's, unity, PVO, positive vibes only. So that's what this is about. But,
Yeah. Yeah, and please, man, Conscious Approach. Support the platform. YouTube, Conscious Approach. Trying to build it, man. It's about increasing exposure for us and myself and my content. I won't be bashful about that, but it's also about supporting logical content. So please always remember to stay righteous and support logical content. You too, CeeDee. You know what I'm saying? And until next time, we will holler at you. But until then, we are out.
Appreciate it.
Peace.